providing multi-jurisdictional programs. The services provided to the member jurisdictions are outlined by interlocal agreement and the needs of the region. BFCOG currently fulfills the following designations on behalf of the Benton-Franklin region: Regional Planning Commission, Conference of Governments, Regional Transportation Planning Organization, Metropolitan Planning Organization and Transportation Management Area, Economic Development District. The BFCOG Board of Directors simultaneously serves as the governing body for the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments, Benton-Franklin Metropolitan Planning Organization Transportation Policy Board, Benton-Franklin Walla Walla Regional Transportation Planning Organization, and the Benton-Franklin Economic Development District. We share this information at the beginning of each board meeting to provide context to the information shared and actions taken at the meeting. So, all right, roll call.
Okay. Benton-Franklin Transit. Benton County. City of Benton City.
What is on?
City of Connell. City of Kennewick.
Present, Gretel.
City of Pasco. City of Prosser.
Here.
City of Richland.
Couldn't get
City
it
of-
unmuted.
Kate's here.
Yes. Franklin County.
Commissioner Clint Didier here.
Port of Benton.
Roy Keck,
Port of Kennewick.
Skip Novakovich.
Port of Pasco.
Vicki Gordon.
Washtenaw South Central.
Brian White.
Okay, you have a quorum?
All right, we do have a guest this morning. I welcome Blake Smith, and if you'd like to just tell us who you are and.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. As Commissioner Gordon said, I'm Blake Smith. I am a new resident to the Richland area as of February and came into the community as the executive director for the Arts Center Task Force. I think most of you are sort of familiar with that group and their desire to do what it takes to facilitate building a performing arts center in the region. And previously I was in Eastern Tennessee in the Knoxville area. I've been in the industry of running large entertainment complexes and performing arts centers for about 35 or 40 years now. And really glad to be here. And so far, I love this community. So I'm just here today to kind of see what y'all do a little bit and familiarize myself with some of the folks that are helping govern us.
Great, welcome. Glad you're here. We love this community too. Okay, I call for approval of the agenda as it's been amended. I think 7D has been amended.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda today. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, thank you. Do we have any public comment today? No. Do we have anybody online from the public? I don't think so.
I don't see any indication.
Okay. No member presentations today. We're going to have 5 fun facts on economic development district from Zach.
All right, thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and good morning, everyone. Zach Rack, High Local Government Programs Director, and try to make this as fun as possible. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, we just want to introduce just a little bit of the background on the Economic Development District, which is a portion of the COG's operations and our mission for the community. So really today, we'll just talk a little bit about the establishment and the intent of economic development districts around the country, our operating principles, our mission for the community, some specific activities we've done over the last couple of years, and then just tie it all together on our basic points and pillars of priorities. So the Economic Development District, it's a federal designation from the Economic Development Administration through the U.S. Department of Commerce. Our EDD, as we call it, was established in May of 1991. And economic development districts are multi-jurisdictional. Throughout the country, they cover multiple counties, multiple cities, but really offers a locally based but regionally driven and focused economic development strategy and process for the communities. We leverage partnerships throughout the community. We go beyond our governmental agencies to include nonprofits as well as the private sector industries. So if you look at some of our main industries of clean energy, advanced manufacturing, construction, development, we bring those communities, those entities into our development strategy as well. We leverage these partnerships for success, really, to develop a regional strategy for Benton and Franklin counties. And obviously, as I said, we partner with the Economic Development Administration, and we are a conduit for federal funding and different state and federal opportunities for partnerships in the community to help development of business, residential, but also transportation infrastructure projects come to light. We are very broad in scope. As a lot of us know what TRIDEC's mission is, we all work for cities and counties and port districts. They all have their own missions for economic development. Ours ties together the regional basis with regard to federal funding, but we do operate a little bit out of the spotlight. So why we exist here specifically for Benton and Franklin counties? Well, we develop and support the regional community economic development strategy, which is the CEDS. Many of you are familiar with that as we've gone through those reviews and those updates and approvals for the past couple of years. We foster those partnerships in the community. So we look at what funding opportunities are out there that could be leveraged by individual agencies, but also could there be an opportunity for regional partnerships to obtain funding, make it a little bit more competitive here locally. We foster those investments in the region. So those funding opportunities help provide supplemental dollars to transportation, infrastructure, growth projects, some of our initiatives that we'll go into a little bit later specifically to the region. And we support all of our communities. So this goes from every community, the counties, the port districts, all the way down to our smaller towns as well. And a big operating principle too is to identify some of those trends and respond to challenges. There's trends coming down. If there's a mandate from the state or federal government and there's some funding opportunities to help our communities address those mandates, then we certainly anticipate those. But we also respond to challenges too. We have all been through the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're able to develop some economic resiliency and business resiliency strategies to help us weather those sorts of issues that come up worldwide, but also leverage some resiliencies when it comes into effect for natural disasters, climate change, that sort of thing. So our mission and what we do specifically, we talked about the Community Economic Development Strategy, the CEDS. That is a project list of eligible projects for federal funding that tie into our goals that we establish every 5 years for the CEDS. We identify and comb through funding opportunities from the federal government, from the state government, local, even nonprofit funding opportunities for our communities, forward those on to each one of you and the staff that you work for to see if that fits in with community goals and specific projects and developments. Writing and administration of grants too. We do offer that service. We are looking to boost that staff level here for our economic development district. That could be assistance to grant writers on the staffs for the communities that you serve, but also providing that tangible technical assistance for the smaller communities that may not have the capacity to write a grant for an infrastructure project, that sort of thing. And just general technical assistance and advisory services to the economic development planning professionals within our communities. Sitting down, meeting with them individually, providing that assistance, some ideas and help as they need it. And a big role of ours is just to convene and coordinate those partnerships in the community. So bringing our communities together, If there's a guest speaker, we have our Congressional Connections meeting where we can have communities connect directly with our federal and state delegations. And those partnerships are key to our region's success. Yeah, if you could click forward, Aaron. Button wasn't working. So some of our recent work in the community over the last couple of years, I've been here for about a year, but stemming from 23 to 24, is providing assistance for the ICAP cluster grant for agricultural innovation. So this was some grant writing assistance where we teamed up with the Regional Chamber of Commerce and the Port of Pasco to identify and get funding from the State Department of Commerce for an agricultural innovation cluster. This was not successful, unfortunately, on the award, but we did learn a lot and have an after action review on that. But that was some of the assistance that we directly provided. EDA a year ago introduced their Tech Hubs program, and we were able to convene a number of communities around the area, specifically on agricultural innovation, I think is what we targeted. However, that initiative, as part of the Tri-Cities Strategic Alliance, formerly My Tri 2030, was not advanced far enough to really be eligible for a tangible Tech Hubs application, but we're able to convene and host those conversations. We offer our small cities training seminar series throughout the year. Some of those focuses have been on bringing our communities together to talk about strategies to obtain successful congressionally direct spending opportunities. That was a discussion with our federal delegation, the staffs for Senators Murray and Cantwell and Congressman Newhouse. We've also offered small cities training to update and provide opportunities and information on our brownfields and broadband action team projects as well for the community. Our Congressional Connections meeting, a lot of your communities participate in that. We hold that every 2 months where it's a direct meeting here at COG headquarters. And it's a chance for the staff of your communities to talk about upcoming funding opportunities through the federal government, as well as update on current projects that are receiving those federal funding dollars to see what strategies they have for implementation, if there's any assistance that they would need in contacting other agencies in the federal government, really providing that opportunity for that direct conduit to our elected officials in DC. In 2024, we did invite our state elected delegation from Olympia to sit in on those and provide a state government perspective as well. And I've seen some good benefits and opportunities, and those have been well received by our agencies. And then, as I stated before, just advisory and technical assistance to both Benton-Franklin counties, our communities as they need it, after action reviews, and just helping out with some of our smaller communities. So tying it all together, I mean, our 3 main strategic pillars for the Economic Development District is just continually finding those funding opportunities for each community, what's going to work for them. If there's a funding opportunity where communities can partner together and be more competitive to obtain those dollars, finding those opportunities and facilitating those discussions, developing strategies for growth and sustainability and in the name of resilience, making sure that our economies, our businesses, our development strategies to address the fast growth of this community are resilient to economic changes, global pandemics, natural disasters, that sort of thing. And then convening those partnerships in the community. So the COG has a huge transportation focus, as we know, but we also convene those partnerships to see, okay, how could the growth of a major development in Pasco or Port of Kennewick, how that can tie into some of our infrastructure, transportation funding, but also be a way to sound the trumpet that this creates jobs and it's good for the growth and resiliency for our community. So that's our very quick, hopefully fun update on just the pillars of the Economic Development District program. And I can stand for questions from the board at this time.
Thanks, Zach. Anybody have comments or questions for
Just a comment, I think that was an excellent report.
I do too. Very, very fun. Very
Good.
exciting.
Good.
Anyone else? Thank you, Zach.
Thank you.
All right, our consent agenda, would look for a motion to pass the,
Madam Chairman, I move approval of consent agenda is presented. I'll second.
Okay, been moved and seconded to accept the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments about it? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Okay, reports, Aaron.
All righty, thank you. So the first report we have here is the Transportation Improvement Program, which is the TIP obligation status update. So just a quick refresher, as the Metropolitan Planning Organization, the council of governments is required to determine if projects within the statewide Transportation Improvement Program will obligate by the end of the federal fiscal year, which is September 30th. And this is our monthly report on that. So our region target for this, and this year was 3.85 million. As of May 28th, we've obligated 6 projects for a total of 2.7 million, which we're sitting around 1.15 left. When July 1st hits, the Council of Governments has some planning funds that will obligate, so that will take us down below 1 million. And then also the city of Richland is set to obligate their South George Washington Way intersection improvements in September, which is 2.7. So that will put us well over our target. So we're in good shape as a region for obligating. So good job, everybody spending money.
Good job.
Any questions on the TIP obligation status before we move on to the next item? All right. Next is the electric vehicles EV infrastructure analysis. So over the past several months, staff, Alex Hall has been conducting EV infrastructure analysis for Benton-Franklin counties. The scope of this analysis and the scope of work is included in your board packet. Alex has been conducting interviews with key stakeholders and jurisdictions from around the region to identify how can our jurisdictions and the region be overall electric vehicle ready or zero emission vehicle ready by 2035 by Washington State's goal. The 3 overarching themes or 3 components of the analysis are an inventory of the region's current EV infrastructure, identify a regional EV network, and then compile a comprehensive list of federal, state, and private funding sources for electric vehicle infrastructure projects. Within your board packet, there was a link to an interactive map that has been compiled for all of the EV chargers within the region. I have to say this is a really cool tool because of people that have EVs, you know, if you go on to say a website such as ChargePoint, or you look at Teslas, they will only show those type of chargers with on those maps. This interactive map shows all the different types of chargers, so it's a one-stop shop for everybody to be able to see, hey, here's where a location is. And it was ground truthed over 2 different iterations by Tanner and Alex, so all the locations are accurate. And then I would also, Alex, can I prompt you to give a little explanation on the suitability analysis you're doing for the EV infrastructure?
Yeah, and so this is kind of goes off the item number 2. So it's not designed to be an end all be all, like this is essentially like the Bible on where these infrastructure facilities should be. It's more to kind of help narrow down, say like city of Pasco is looking at like 2 different places, and one maybe scores better on the suitability index, so it helps narrow down that. And so basically we fed it a bunch of, it's basically a model on geographic information system software. We fed it a bunch of information, so strategic, high areas of employment, large stores such as Walmart, Costco, as well as other major facilities such as like CBC, high schools, and so forth. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to answer them outside of this meeting if you want to get down in the details of the what the index comprises of.
Any questions on the electric vehicle infrastructure analysis?
I suppose I do have a question. I guess I'm kind of struggling here. What's being done, do we know, on the back end of like the grid and everything? Because everybody I talk to at the power company says, you know, this is an effort of futility. The grid can't support this audacious, program, from Olympian. It just seems like this is just a waste of government money at its finest. And so do we know what is being done on the electric infrastructure side to meet this goal, or?
Yeah, actually, so we've been meeting together with the public power agencies, Benton REA, Benton PUD, Franklin PUD, City of Richland. I'm in fact meeting with Clint Whitney later today. That's a huge challenge for sure. It's and I guess the goal of this network is to identify funding sources to help support our community build these infrastructure and take the burden off the taxpayer. So that's kind of one of the main goals of this.
Does Olympia realize this?
You know, I've been attending a lot of their coordinating committee meetings, and I've been kind of voicing my concerns, like
Appreciate that.
what like works maybe in like Seattle or Tacoma might not. We'd have to take a different approach here. And so, we've been in contact with people from the State Department of Commerce, WashDOT as well. And so we're really trying to make sure that the Tri-Cities, when the state moves towards this thing, the Tri-Cities, the transition and the automobile needs of the community are met. And we just get the best bang for our buck.
No, and I appreciate that. And I know that we aren't the cause of this whole thing. We're the implementers of it. And, I get all that, but I just, hopefully somewhere along the chain, somebody's speaking some common sense into this. And that's, I guess, my hope. So thank you. Appreciate that, Alex. Thank you.
Thanks for the question.
Yeah, what are you plugging into?
Can you hear me? I can't find my little hand thing. I guess the only comment I would have on that is that we met recently with the BPA, the Bonneville Power Administration, and getting the transmission lines, ensuring that the 4 different projects that they have underway right now are going as planned and hopefully will be completed. But the biggest one, the one that's to the south of the Tri-Cities that we really need, is the one that was originally supposed to be done in 2025 and now is been pushed back to 2027. And they think it's on track for 2027, but the reality is they don't have their pathway, which goes through private property, I think 8 different parcel holders. So I think that there still should be angst, and there should be a lot of questions and follow up on electricity, because it's not in any way secure. And as far as the legislative, I think the biggest thing you can do is talk to everyone and there's an election coming up. And at the end of the day, this is, in my opinion, truly just a political opinion that's being pushed for, an agenda being pushed forward that really doesn't have any basis in reality. In order to put these EV chargers everywhere throughout the city, they're really putting it mostly on the backs of developers and business people. If you put in one of these EV charging stations, if I would have put one in my building, I would have had to pay for a whole new transformer. Transformers right now are $47,000. Each one of these EV charging stations can require up to a 200 amp service specifically for each one. And nobody's answered the questions about who pays for these, who gets to hook up to these, and how do people get somehow reimbursed for this? There's just a whole lot of unexplained questions. It's one thing to just say an unfunded mandate and say, we will have EV charging stations everywhere by 2035, but there is no plan in place. And it's really just falling on the shoulders of municipalities, developers, business owners, taxpayers at the end of the day, because everything trickles down. So it's a conversation that needs to continue being had. And electricity within our region is also a conversation that needs to continue being had, because there's definite hurdles that we are working to address, but it's not a given. And the consistent power that we need for our whole area, we are potentially looking at rolling brownouts probably this summer. And it's only probably going to get worse as we continue to load on to the electrical and take away the other energy options, including the rivers, natural gas, and the intermittent that solar and wind farms provide. is not the answer.
No, that's,
Anyways. Just thought I'd add that.
and we're trying to talk to as many people as possible, and I guess, while there might not be, as you say, like, I guess, concrete direction from the state, we're trying to come up with, to make sure we have our ducks in a row as a region. And, whatever may come.
No, understood. And I appreciate what you're doing. I know you're just following what we're being told to do, but, yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Next are our public engagement events and art contest. So first up, we're gearing up for being out in, I'll say, the public eye a little bit more this summer. So as part of our ongoing commitment to community involvement and public engagement, we're pleased to announce a bunch of these upcoming events. So over the past month or last 2 weeks, we've been at the West Wednesdays. So in West Richland, and then we were at the Richland Farmers Market last Friday. As you can see in the photo on the right, that's Tanner and Alex at the Richland Farmers Market. And we'll be at the Kennewick Farmers Market on the 27th. In July, we'll be at West Wednesdays on the 10th, Prosser on the 13th, and Richland again on the 19th. And then we also have events planned for August and September. We will be at the Pasco Farmers Market in August. As the Prosser and Pasco Farmers Markets are on Saturdays, it's a little more valuable of staff time, so just trying to be cognizant of that. I also want to point out that on Friday, when we were at the farmers market, we had a personal best of getting 60 paper surveys filled out, which was pretty big.
Wow.
So our art contest. So this is something that is new this summer, and I'm really glad that the Arts Task Force is here, so we can talk about this. So we're having a summer art contest of solutions for shared regional problems. This is for all of the community to participate. There's age groups of elementary, middle, high school, college, and then community members. So the prompt is identify a regional problem, create an original masterpiece of how you want to solve that, and then submit it to Elizabeth Garcia by September 6th. And then at the September board meeting, all of the board members will get the chance to identify which one is the best. So get your art hats on, ready for that. Any question on the summer art contest? And then art contest pieces will be either put up around the office or used within our plans.
Is there a prize?
Yeah, what do you win? I think a prize is still yet to be determined. Could be a tote bag.
Oh, good. Okay.
All right, the next thing is the regional transportation priorities. So each year, the council of governments coordinates a updated list of regional transportation priority projects, and I'll say initiatives as well. This list can be very useful for the council of governments, jurisdictional partners, and other organizations in accomplishing planning tasks. This list is normally projects that are pursuant of funding that are larger than what can commonly be accommodated within our call for projects. So we'll think big projects, probably roughly greater than 5 million normally. A prioritized list. So this is a little bit different than what we've historically done. Normally they've been prioritized alphabetically. This is a prioritized list done by ranking. This will help our region speak in one voice. This was brought to the TAC earlier this month and everybody was in support of it. So this is just an overview of the process, the details, and the schedule for you. So the submission details, jurisdictions can submit 2 projects per jurisdiction. And then on the screen and within your packet, these are all of the things that will be asked of each jurisdiction to be submitting along with their project. There's a Word document that was sent out, and the projects are due to the Council of Governments by the 28th. So just a quick overview of this. This is the name of the agency, name of the project, priority of the project to the agency. So for example, when the city of Pasco submits a project, it would be claiming this is our top project or this is our second project. Kate, do you have a question? I think she's clapping.
No, I was just clapping the art competition.
So then just some other information is total project cost, geographic location of the project, average daily traffic, a short description of the project, what the impact will be, how much funding is secured, what grant programs is the project eligible for, and the significance of the project. So some instructions on this are each jurisdiction will be given the opportunity to submit 2 projects for their jurisdiction. Presentations for each jurisdiction's projects will happen at the August TAC meeting and will be no longer than 5 minutes total, 3 slides. The TAC will decide the top 6 projects that will be ranked. 1 member from each jurisdiction will be allowed to vote on a prioritized list, so just making sure that the deck's not getting stacked. And those will be submitted a week after to the Council of Governments on August 9th. 1 member from each jurisdiction will be allowed to cast 6 votes for their top 6 projects. Only 1 vote is allowed per project. Kate, you have your hand raised?
I do, yes. Just a quick question. So, I don't know how other people's directors are, but with the no longer than 5 minutes total, is that each jurisdiction's presentation for both of theirs 5 minutes, or is that each individual presentation 2 per jurisdiction get 5 minutes? Or is that 5 minutes for all of the jurisdictions to do their 2 projects?
5 minutes per jurisdiction.
Whew, Roscoe's gonna have to talk fast. Okay, thanks.
So then the votes will be tallied. The project receiving the most votes will be number 1, then same thing for number 2, all the way down to the top 6. The rest of the projects that are not the top 6 will be on the back of the list, shown as other projects of regional significance. So in your packet and on the screen is just a quick overview of the schedule. So this was announced at the June 6th TAC meeting, and have been working with the TAC chair before then to make sure that this process was outlined and in coordination with other regional, say, lobbying groups, Chamber of Commerce, Good Roads, to make sure that our list is out first and then can be used by other groups. So this next will be brought back to the board in September for approval. I would recommend all of you to attend the TAC meeting on August 1st so you can hear the quick presentations from each jurisdiction. Any other questions on the regional transportation priorities? All right, sweet.
Did you say that TAC meeting is August 1st?
Correct.
Okay.
And last but not least is just a quick general update. So these are just some things that have been done over the past month. So the regional bicycle plan survey is now live. You can see on the right side of your screen, this is a flyer that was out. We have been at community events, as you saw during the public engagement slide. On May 15th, Tanner Martin put on a regional transportation improvement program workshop. It was an educational workshop, the first one that we've done, and I'm hoping that it will be an annual event. It was received very well, and Nancy Huntley from WashDOT also helped. Thank you, Tanner. I presented to the Hanford High AP Human Geography classes on urban regional planning and GIS and map making. I've been doing that for 5 years now, and it's a fun way to try to get students to know that planning is a profession. And then you talk to them about GIS for about a minute, and they're doing things that people spend 10 years trying to put together. Alex presented to the Mid-Columbia Energy Initiative about the EV infrastructure analysis. I presented to the Sustainable Tri-Cities group about who the Council of Governments is, what's going on with the Safe Routes to School plan and our regional bicycle plan. And then Daisy presented to the Benton-Franklin Health District's Community of Hope Coalition on the regional Safe Routes to School plan and the regional bicycle plan. Any other questions for me?
Busy.
You may have seen the regional bike plan on the news in the last week
Yeah.
or so.
So the bike plan, or the bike survey's been out for 10 days and we're already just about at 188 responses. We're aiming to beat 800.
Good.
Michelle, did you mention Daisy yourself?
I did.
Okay, so you're going to mention that.
All right. Thank you.
back for a quick update to the Economic Development District and our local government programs program. Thank you. So we're continuing our annual update to the SEDS document. This is going through and meeting with each individual community on the projects they have listed. A lot of our projects are transportation infrastructure based, which is key towards economic development and the goals of the SEDS. We are also looking to incorporate other projects into the mix as well that are more development related, but they relate to, building clean energy infrastructure, building our workforce, and just general economic development goals of the SEDS. So I've been meeting with individual employees and staff from each community as we go through this process. So we'll be continuing those updates. We will be bringing those updates to our EDAC committee. So that's our EDD advisory committee, which makes advisory recommendations to this board. Probably the third week in July, we'll schedule our next meeting and have a list of documents and some updates for them to go through and review. This is all gearing to our SEDS update, which is due to the Economic Development Administration in October. So likely our September board meeting will have that full update for the review from this body. Our continual local government programs, we do have our ARPA-funded economic resiliency grant from Benton-Franklin counties. We'll be presenting our mid-year grant report. We'll be submitting those to each county by the end of this month. And then scheduling our meetings with the county commissioners from each of Benton-Franklin counties in July to give them that update, solicit questions. So we're scheduled on July 23rd with Benton County, and we're working with Franklin County staff to get on the docket for one of their July meetings with the commissioners as well. Our general quest for funding opportunities, grants, and regional technical assistance. Since we last met, we forwarded 3 letters of support to the City of Richland, Benton-Franklin Transit, and the Franklin PUD as they're seeking Washington State Department of Commerce funding. So providing that support, specifically tying it to our grant, our goals in the SEDS to help provide a little bit more meat to the letter of support and tie it into our regional initiatives. To date, for 2024, we provided 21 letters of support for our agencies and just providing any assistance that they needed. Since we last met, we forwarded 5 funding opportunities from federal and state sources that were relevant to our communities and jurisdictions, and found another one this morning that we'll be sending out to our member jurisdictions as well, and updating our website to keep that current as far as just a single source base of information for our communities to seek grant funding. And just our general technical assistance. So we talked about congressional connections in our 5 facts presentation. We held our last congressional connections meeting on May 22nd. City of Pasco, City of Richland, Benton County attended those. We had our federal delegation here, and we had Senator Dozier from the state attending as well. A lot of great conversation on upcoming funding opportunities for those agencies, as well as just general updates on federally funded projects through that time. We'll be scheduling that likely July 22nd, our July meeting with Congressional Connections, and we'll be sending out meeting signups to all of our agencies to get on the board for those discussions. And then we've begun our monthly meetings with member jurisdiction staff, and we're still connecting with a couple other communities and setting up those times. A lot of that discussion has been on the SEDS project list, but also just general advice, seeking what each community is looking for as far as funding opportunities. There's a lot of projects out there where there might be some EDA funding we can plug in to help supplement the overall funding package for new infrastructure, development, transportation projects, tying those to job creation, small business support. So really, I'm just trying to get a pulse on each community and then what they need and how we can plug that into some of our funding. So that's our update from my side of the house.
Well, the COG's responsiveness on those letters of support are fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you. Michelle.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so the first report you had in your packet was about our CPA financial assessment and accounting staffing. So if you'll recall, back in October, after the completion of our last audit, I had reported back that I was really proud of the work that we'd done to stabilize the financial position of the COG, but recognize that we still have room for improvement when it comes to policies, procedures, and processes related to our financial accounting. And we have contracted with the CPA firm Clark Newber to do an assessment for us to look at our financial policies, internal controls, our capability and capacity to bring accounting in-house. If you'll recall, we've had a contracted part-time bookkeeper for the last several years, and then also opportunities to utilize automation to support our financial management activities. So their initial report was put in your packet, but the brief overview is that they didn't tell us anything we didn't already know, which frankly, if I'm gonna have an outsider come in and do an assessment, I don't wanna be surprised by anything, so that was okay. And really what they said was, you're doing the right things, but you don't have the right documentation for the fact that you're doing the right things, in a nutshell. So coincidentally, at the same time that we received our final report, our contracted bookkeeper accepted a full-time accounting position with one of our members.
Who's sitting at the table?
Who's sitting here with us today? They should feel terrible. No, it's fine. But which is wonderful, wonderful for her, but does in fact now open up that question that we had been asking, which was, are we at a place that we can bring accounting in-house and have a staff position to do that? So in analyzing our finances and the needs of the organization, we did determine that we could in fact do that. So what we are proposing to do is that we would hire a full-time staff accounting position. We'll call that position senior accountant / operations manager. We can reimburse roughly 2/3 of the cost of that program through transportation, paying half of the salary for the under our transportation program, and then with the indirect cost on top of that comes up with about 2/3 of the cost of that staff position. The other third is offset by what we were contracting for a part-time bookkeeper, leaving us with a cash flow impact annually of roughly $10,000. Which given what we would gain by having a full-time staff position is well worth that extra staff cost. The full-time position would backfill the work that had been done by our contracted bookkeeper, transition grant accounting activities that are currently being done by Zach, Aaron, and myself to that position, that we'd have someone available to craft the necessary accounting policies, document those missing procedures, and processes for us, provide some additional administrative support to operations, which we've been saying all along, one operations staff position for our organization is really not quite enough for the work that we need to do. And then ensure that consistent workflow and improved communication, which is one of the issues that Clark Newber had pointed out in their report for us. So because we were in the process of posting positions for hiring, and with the imminent departure of our bookkeeper, when we had to cancel the May board meeting, the executive committee provided me with interim approval to begin recruiting for that senior accounting position. My authority allows me to retitle and deal with compensation and all things related to a new position, except creating a new position that had not previously existed. So the executive committee gave me that interim approval. I will be seeking approval from this board to ratify that decision before I start interviewing people next week and offer a job that doesn't exist to someone with the COG. So I have that under our action items later. For a general update, well, let me ask, any questions about that particular issue? Okay, so we have had a busy couple of months when it comes to staff. So Tanner Martin on July 1st will have been with the COG for 5 years. We have most of the rest of our staff celebrating their 1-year anniversary with the COG. Alex, Daisy, Elizabeth is not with us here today, and Zach all had their 1-year anniversaries. And then we had some additional causes for celebration. So Daisy just last weekend graduated with her master's in urban and regional planning degree.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, that's nice.
And as you all remember, part of our internship program last summer was the ability to partner with both Daisy and Lizzie to continue their education with a commitment to come back and work for the COG at the completion of their degree. So starting this week, well, July 1st, I think, is the official day. Then Daisy will be a senior regional planner, and her focus area will be multimodal planning with the COG. So we're very happy to have her back with us full-time as a full planner. Lizzie's not here with us today, but Elizabeth Garcia, she is on track to complete her bachelor's degree in environmental science in December and has already sign her letter of agreement with us that when she completes her degree in December, she will come on as a full-time regional planner, and her emphasis will be environmental and community planning. So she will continue to work part-time with us through the end of this year, and then will join us full-time in January. So far we have been very happy and successful with how our internship program worked last summer. And then last, but definitely not least, and something that it's really important to me to make sure that people who do good work get recognized. And you all know Erin's been with us going on almost 6 years now. And we submitted Erin for recognition with the American MPO Association they have a new award this year that's a Rising Professionals Award. So we're waiting to hear if Erin does receive that, but that is for MPO professionals who've been in the industry for 8 years or less. And so we're hopeful, and I know many of you submitted some quotes of recommendation that we included in his submission. So even if you don't get the national award, Erin, I want to make sure that you are recognized by our organization for the hard work that you did for us. So thank you, everybody. And I'm so pleased with the team that we have. They just do incredible work. So, all right. So back to our hiring update. Because we need a few more good people on our team. We are actively recruiting currently for 3 positions, an executive admin communications coordinator. We retitled that job from operations coordinator. Otherwise the job description is exactly the same, but we've had closer to 190 applicants as of this morning. So the new title must resonate with people. So, yeah, lots of applicants. We have the senior accountant / operations manager position. We had 16 applicants at the time that I put this together. We were actually closer to about 25 now for that. And then grant navigator, to date, we've had about 30 applicants. We start interviewing. We actually had our first interview for executive admin yesterday, and then we have several scheduled next week. Senior accounting interviews start next week as well, and we're doing some pre-screening on that grant navigator. So stay tuned. Hopefully we'll have some new staff here shortly.
Do you have a date when you want to have those hires made?
Just as soon as we can get somebody good and qualified. We're not going to rush it. We've been making do, but yeah, we really want to make sure that we hire just the right individual.
That's good.
So annual audit and financial reporting, our annual financial reports were submitted on time to the State Office of Accounting, and that was for the COG, the Benton County Public Facilities District, and the Tri-Cities Regional Public Facilities District. The auditor's office has started our annual financial and federal single audit process. So we are currently providing information and backup documentation for questions. Angela, our bookkeeper, has, bless her heart, even though she is working full-time elsewhere, has been continuing to support us through the audit and payroll and accounts payable until we can get somebody on board. So we are limping along. I do want to go on record just for you all on the board. You know this from past conversations, but this year's audit will be an interesting one. Of course, we sold our A Street property. We uncommingled what was the revolving loan fund. We redistributed some funds there, opened some new bank accounts. So there's quite a few things that will most definitely get an extra look this year. So I just prepare everybody because we have had 4 years of clean audits and I'm very proud of that, but we had a lot of anomalies this time. So we did everything we thought we should do and hopefully they agree. So Brownfield grant, I've requested a proposal from Stantec. They're our firm that we have contracted with to do all of our brownfields assessments and program work to write a new EPA brownfield grant application for this fall. That was a 5-year contract with Stantec. So due to timing, we can have them do our next grant application, but we'll have to go out to RFP again if we were successful in receiving that next grant for the next implementation process. So you'll know more about that coming up. And currently, Mandy Waldner with the City of Richland and I are coordinating with the Department of Ecology and the Center for Creative Land Use to plan a brownfields training workshop in Richland on September 10th. So that'll be the first time they've had a training in our area since I think 2018. The Tri-City Strategic Alliance, we are actually the program for the July chamber meeting. So I'll be presenting about our Internet for All project at that meeting. Hanford Advisory Board, I was reelected as the Community Outreach and Engagement Committee Vice Chair. Yay! And that's it for me for just a quick general update. There's more in your packet if you want to get into the details of the things we've been working on. But any questions?
How long are we blessed with Daisy over here for the internship once she signs on?
So because her internship is now completed, her agreement with us is for 2 years, to start, but we hope she stays on forever.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, not the internship, but the employment because of, okay. Perfect.
We don't call it indentured servitude, but you know.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Michelle?
Okay.
Well, then we'll move on to action items.
Alrighty, so the action item before you is for the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments in the Transpo contract amendment. So in 2020, I believe it was 2022, we signed a 1-year contract agreement with the Transpo group to do travel demand modeling services and some assistance with transportation planning. It is a 1-year contract with the allowable 2 1-year extensions. Last year we did a 1-year extension. This action item is to seek another 1-year extension of the contract. If you are following closely, we have normally done a $150,000 extension. This is just a $100,000 extension due to how much is still remaining on our current contract. So the numbers below you, or excuse me, the numbers before you on the screen show how much we are increasing the contract by. The 4 major task items of the contract and still with the amendment are review, recommend, and implement areas of model improvements, which we'll be definitely doing over the next year as we gear up for our metropolitan transportation, and local jurisdictions are doing their comp plan updates. So assist in regional planning projects and data acquisition, that, for instance, that's helping us acquire the best data for our regional bike plan or things to that effect. Technical assistance related to the congestion management process. That is a document that is overhauled every 4 years, but it's a living document that needs to be updated every year. So that's more data acquisition and technical assistance related to that. And then on-call services, $40,000. Those are for on-call travel demand modeling requests. Those are done by local jurisdictions, developers, other modeling firms, or excuse me, travel demand modeling firms that contact our organization saying, hey, can we have a model plot for this location with an increase of this number of houses? We ask Transpo to do that, they do it, and they provide it to us, and we pass it on to the jurisdiction or the different consultant. So the action item, or the proposed motion before you is on the screen.
Do I hear a motion?
Madam Chairman, I move to approve amending the 2022 travel demand model services contract to extend to June 30th, 2025 as presented.
This is Kate Moran, I second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve amending the 2022 travel demand model services contract to extend to June 30th, 2025 as presented. Is there any discussion? Questions? Okay. All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Perfect. All right, the next action item before you is the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments Unified Planning Work Program, commonly known as the UPWP amendment. So the Unified Planning Work Program is the 2-year work program for the Metropolitan Planning Organization and the Regional Transportation Planning inside of the Council of Governments. This was brought forth to you. It's done on a 2-year biennium scale. This was done last year and approved for 2 years. We have received some new funding between now and then, and that's what this amendment is for, and some other, I'll say, small updates. So the following items are changes within the 2024 and 2025 UPWP. So we received $320,000 in Safe Streets for All, or SS4A, for our regional Safe Routes to School plan and our regional comprehensive safety action plan. We received $138,000 for vehicle miles traveled funding to be used for demonstrations of VMT reduction projects and the development of the regional greenhouse gas inventory for jurisdictions for their 2026 comprehensive plan updates. Adding the regional electric vehicle infrastructure analysis into the document, and an update of board and TAC members. So the motion before you is on the screen. Any questions related to this?
All right. Call for a motion.
This is Kate Moran. I move to approve the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments SFY 2024 through 2025 Unified Planning Work Program amendment as presented.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the BFCOG SFY 2024-2025 UPWP amendment as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. We don't have any EDD action items. We're on 9C, ratification of executive committee intermediate actions.
So as I mentioned, in order to officially create our senior accountant position per our new bylaws, the executive committee can take action of a timely nature between board meetings, but that action can only be an action that has the ability to be ratified, amended, or appealed by a vote of the board at the next board meeting. So this is the request to the board to ratify the executive committee's action approving the creation of a senior accountant position.
Any questions? All right, motion.
Madam Chairman, I move to ratify the authorization provided by the Executive Committee at the May 3, 2024 meeting approving the creation of a senior account position for BFCOG.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to ratify the authorization provided by the Executive Committee at the May 3rd, 2024 meeting approving the creation of a senior accountant position for the COG. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Is there any new business?
As I say, we don't have new business, but I do have just a couple of quick things that I should have mentioned when I was giving my general update. On the table here, because they're just so fun, part of the reason I think that we've been so successful with our survey results from the farmers market is the staff put together these really fun BFCOG stickers. There's a bowl of them on the table. Charles, if you want to pass that around, but one for safe routes to school, one with our big multiple logo, something a little psychedelic. And of course, everybody's favorite, Edgar, our chief morale officer, he gets his own sticker, and just a fun one for the COG. And then they've also got some tote bags that have our COG logo. It says, "Together we plan, together we grow." And then on the back is Edgar as our chief morale officer. So if you all would like to, you are welcome to help yourself to some of our stickers or a tote bag, or, you know, it's rare that we have extra swag for you guys from the COG, but if you'd like to have one, that would be great. Shoot, there was something else. Oh, we finished our member update meetings with Kennewick and Richland in the past couple of weeks, and especially with Kennewick, I felt like we had a really robust conversation. They specifically requested to discuss some transportation issues, and so I feel like we had a really robust discussion with them, and that went really well. So I wanted to mention those last two things.
Great.
So no new business before your director updates.
Okay. Well, now we've got some time for director updates, and this is just a time for each of the jurisdictions to give an update on what's going on. If you'd like, for a few minutes. We'll start with Skip.
Geez, thanks.
Sport again.
Well, we've got a lot of exciting stuff going on in Vista Field. We've got a company coming in that's going to build 300 new homes at Vista Field. And that's really exciting. What happens then for economic development purposes is, you guys well know, you've got to have the rooftops before you can get the commercial. So the commercial will follow. So it's pretty exciting times.
Good. Thanks, Skip.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. The big thing out of Pasco right now is, of course, it's, you know, traffic cone city over there right now. It seems like we're just blocked in on all sides. But really, of course, the news that just came out yesterday or the day before from the city of Pasco about the water park and getting that all, you know, signed in, and it's deep within the Broadmoor property. So it's hard not to imagine, you know, a whole bunch of development coming around there that we've been anticipating, so we can, you know, start to pay off that TIF and everything like that I know everybody's pretty anxious about. So yeah, lots of good stuff happening in Pasco, and so appreciate it.
Good, thank you. Hey, Joanna.
I really don't have anything. I do have, regarding the city, but I do have a question for Zach, who is the EDD director.
Yes.
So we have an issue in the community where obviously we need certain type of professionals that we do not have the education, you know, being offered here locally. So being that you help us with this area at the regional level, obviously we do need lawyers. We do not have a law school. Our state now has changed the way we do business here. You know, the law enforcement community, how they really process individuals and whether they should even be arrested since they don't have defense lawyers. So my question to you is, how can you help us bring in this type of education into our community? We are the third largest metropolitan area in the state of Washington. Obviously, we're past to for a need for a law school or larger schools than Tri-Cities have right now, which is Columbia Basin College and the small campus for the Tri-Cities WSU. So that being said, how can you help us bring in the type of education that we need in order to serve the community and grow at the same pace of the business that are coming in?
Sure, I think regionally, we look at education as far as workforce development, you know, and a lot of that's been focused on technology, clean energy, advanced manufacturing. As we've convened our partners, I think the biggest thing that we're doing right now is just convening those conversations. So Office of Public Defense and attorneys, or lack thereof, and some of the mandates that are coming down to the communities is certainly an issue regionally. It's not necessarily within our mission, but as we've convened these conversations with state and federal officials, we've been able to unearth some Department of Justice funding that can help offset those costs of hiring attorneys. Now, addressing the need for a law school or greater legal education in the community, we can certainly talk to our partners there. It is a little bit beyond our development, but it's as part of our convening of those conversations. Yeah, I mean, we've seen that with medical schools and nursing colleges here, where those have been developed to offset those shortfalls in the workforce. And certainly raising that conversation and having that as part of our biggest group, you know, is something that we can do and then see where we go from there.
Yeah, and it's not just law school, right? We do have a big industry here, nuclear energy. We do not have a school that offers those programs as well. So even if we do have people that have the skill set to work out of the Hamper site, they may want to teach here our kids, but we do not have the educational system to really allow them to participate and teach our kids while they're working on our own community. Again, it's not just law that we are in deficiency. We have all the degrees that we do not have. So I'm not asking you to bring in the program, but since you are one of those individuals that can help us bring in the parties together and reach out to those individuals, organizations, and people that can help us bring the, move the ball forward. I guess that's what I'm asking.
Exactly, and I think our third goal of the sense is related to workforce development, and some of those tenets are focused on our current workforce, but a lot of it dovetails into, are we training the proper local workforce to attract those companies and those industries coming in? And I think that's an area where we can work and certainly tie it into our overall sets goals. For sure.
Yeah.
Education equals workforce, workforce equals industry attraction.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
And I do have a question for you, Michelle, and that's more in regards, so I see we want to hire more people, which is great, but I don't know where we are with our technology for the Benton-Franklin Council of Governments. I feel like there is a need for us to have some more robust dashboards that can show the community not only what we're doing, what you're doing for us as cities and counties, but also what are you doing for every single taxpayer. And it will be very helpful for us to be able to see some dashboards of things that you guys have done and how those dollars are impacting us every single day. So I think I said this before to several people, Benton-Franklin Council of Governments is the most kept secret organization. Nobody knows until you actually get invited to it. So it will be great for you guys to have something that we can say, yes, this is a great organization. They're helping us and they're actually growing with our community. And this is the things that they help us do. They have helped us finance or fund A, B, and C and get you guys more support, but also more support from our own cities on funding as well.
So to that, a couple of thoughts. One is that when we made some slight adjustments to that executive admin role, we added some communication responsibilities to that. That is one of the areas where it's just kind of all hands on deck. What we do for social media or how we keep stuff up on the website, everybody kind of does their part, and we haven't had enough support staff to do a lot of those things. So we're hoping that between that full-time bookkeeper taking on a little bit of the responsibilities for some of the rest of us, adjusting that executive admin, we'll have some staff time to do a little bit more. The other piece is And you'll hear a little bit more about this next month. Next month, we have our transportation management area certification meeting, and our federal partners are gonna come in. And what you're gonna hear from them is that we have some work to do when it comes to our website, our ADA compliance. And again, those are all areas where that lack of not enough administrative support is impacting how we're meeting some of those expectations. So we're gonna have to overhaul our website and do some improvements. We've been looking for about a year at implementing a governance software. Many of your jurisdictions use them. And we've been on the bubble between, is it more helpful or more work for the size of our agency? But there is an outward facing presence to that software that would be important for communicating that level of professionalism and engagement for those who do need to engage with us. So that's on the horizon as well. But yes, well heard, and definitely things that with the staff changes, I think we'll be able to move in that direction.
So I'm new, and I'm not sure if you guys do, but I imagine you do have annual strategic planning that goes into what we are doing.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, yep, we do.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Brandon?
Yeah, so probably everyone's interested in the Blue Bridge. Blue Bridge, they're moving along pretty well, haven't had too many issues, which is always a good thing. They're hoping to be done around Christmas time, but they do have working days through January, so we'll just see how it goes. No problem with them finishing up early. We have another bridge. Is that your question? Yeah.
Not yet.
Okay, I thought it was something. We have another bridge painter down at Umatilla that we're hoping to get started this year. We're kind of waiting on ODOT to sign the agreement. They're kind of dragging their feet, not sure why, but hopefully we're gonna open that contract up. And we're also working on building for WSP, a new port entry down in Plymouth, so we're kind of excited for that. Not only for weighing trucks, but it's also a safety inspection, which is very important. Especially with all the recent incidents we've been seeing. I've had a lot of fatalities in the last couple of weeks within my region, whether it's in Walla Walla or by Sunnyside. Had some head-on collisions, so we're looking into those incidents to see what the issue is, but there just doesn't seem to be one common factor other than driver behavior. So that's where we're at.
Okay, thank you.
Well, Fort Benton is gonna be busy this summer, if you recall, last year, we were real heroes on our at-grade crossing at Benton-Franklin. We completely reconstructed it. We're gonna take on the same challenge on the 240 out at Horn Rapids and upgrade that at-grade crossing, including Airway and Saint Street. So there's 3 crossings there that we're gonna upgrade this year. And as soon as we get those at-grade crossings upgraded and back to the same standard we have at Van Giesen, we're gonna also add in another 3,000 new railroad ties in an attempt to get our railroad speed back from 5 miles an hour up to 25 miles an hour. So we're gonna be real heroes when we get that done. So that's all we're gonna be doing.
We have an open house on that project coming up, I think the
In July, yeah.
8th or 9th of July, right?
All right, good. Let's go to the people that have called in. Gretel in the city of Kennewick.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so I think my updates would be, again, we met with the BPA, it was all of the mayors, city managers, some of the different utility districts last week. We had several meetings, but the main one with the BPA was on Friday. And I already kind of gave you a little bit of an update on that. But we do need to, I think, keep the electrical issues in mind. They're not necessarily going away. And yeah, as we continue adding to them, it's going to be more and more of a problem. I think one thing that they requested and that the BFCOG could actually be very supportive in completing for them is that their planning director basically said that they are planning usually at least 15 to 20 years out ahead. And so the transmission lines that they're bringing in right now were from a plan in the past. And what they're requesting is that each city, county jurisdiction actually provides them with information in terms of where they see their growth occurring within their areas, and not only where the growth is, but what types of growth, so that can plan accordingly for what types of levels of electricity needs they might have. So I think that that's something that the BFCOG could be very instrumental in getting that information from each jurisdiction and putting that together in a kind of a holistic regional report to give to them, so that we can have adequate planning for the future. And then Kennewick, we are still moving forward on the expansion of the convention center. So we're moving into the next stages with that. So that's exciting. We do have a new city manager on board, Erin Erdman. And so she's been working really hard, getting up to speed and trying to meet with all of the things that the council is wanting her to do and implement. So that's been a lot of work. And then I think lastly, based on a meeting that Michelle had coming to our council, there was a lot of conversation about travel and I could think Kennewick's needs and some of the concerns with our travel coming through Kennewick on the highways, and then obviously just the Blue Bridge in general. But we talked a lot about Amazon coming online and the impact that that's going to have on us. And I would really like to make sure that we have some current real-time results once that comes online, and we see kind of what the effect of that is, because I know that we're dealing with some modeling that Erin was doing, which is great. But again, it just depends on what inputs you put in and how accurate that is. So I would like to look forward to getting some results on that later in the year once that kind of starts picking up. Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you. Kate Moran, West Richland.
Hey there, thank you. Yes, sorry, had to find the unmute button. In West Richland, the main thing I'm thinking of is we've got 4th of July coming up, so please, 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 please don't have people just coming into West Richland and shooting off fireworks. We're gonna have our parks closed off and try and make sure it's only the folks that live in the homes or their guests that show up, trying to limit that. I will say, though, that I am currently at the Association of Washington Cities event in Vancouver, Washington, which has been fantastic. And I really appreciate Michelle taking the time to talk to me, I believe it was yesterday, about the broadband action team, because there's a lot of discussion going on about the federal level internet for all and at the Washington level broadband for all, and about things like the affordable connectivity program and how that recently just ended, and how we're really trying to figure out ways to continue similar types of funding, maybe even restarting it at the federal level, and also making sure that the state is going to continue to say that they're going to be providing that 25% funding that's required for the federal level for the BEAD. I believe it's BEAD. And Michelle can correct me if there's anything I missed on that. But yeah, that's kind of what I've been focusing on, and nothing that I can think of other than the fireworks that's specific to the city. We've got a very interesting ballot item, so that's going to be fun. And other than that, just appreciate being able to attend remotely.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Maricela.
Yes, hello everyone. Thank you. I just wanted to report that we are planning in Prosser to have a nationally renowned expert in walkability come to visit Prosser in August, on August 12th and 13th. His name is Dan Burden. He's a senior advisor to the National Safe Routes to School program. And we'll be coming to speak with city staff, city council, and leaders in our community about how to improve walkability and bikeability within our community. we recognize jointly that it's important not only for the physical and mental health of our residents, but also social and community cohesiveness, as well as economic development. We know that having walkable areas adds to the value of our homes and adds to the value of our community and our commercial centers. So we're looking forward to that on August 12th and 13th.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Didier, do you have anything to report?
I will check with the other commissioners at our next meeting and find out what date in July would work. I'll get that on the talking item there for our next agenda. But one concern that I have is not of our area, but of a neighboring state, and that's Idaho. I don't know if you've heard of the Snake River Basin, and the fact that they've got plenty of snow and they got plenty of storage of water, but this year they've waited to this point in time in the farming season, and they have pulled the water from 500,000 acres. And if anybody knows anything about farming at this point in time in the farming season, with an acre of potatoes, you've got $4,000 invested in that crop, which will just dry up and die. And doing some more research on it, it seems that they have cobalt in Idaho, and they need that water to mine the cobalt. And that's why they're taking it away from the farmers when it's all about replenishing wells that have been depleted. It's got more of and if you want to look into it, it's out there. You can Google it and research it, but they are fining the farmers $300 an acre for using water when they red tag their delivery points. In the state of Washington, we've got the Department of Health that is up and getting people to test their wells for nitrates. And in the presentation, it was all associated with farming. My mom and dad moved here in 55, lived in a tent. In 57, they drilled a well. That well had such high nitrates that they couldn't use it to make formula or for babies to drink because the nitrates were too high. There was no farming going on at that time. We've also got the Washington State Department of Ag that is testing wells for parasites. So there seems to be a push on the water in our state and other states. So beware. Keep your head on a swivel, and let's just watch and keep attentive of what's going on. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Matthew, who's Matthew?
So Matthew is our representative from the Federal Highway Administration.
Matthew, would you like to give us a report?
Sure. Can you hear me now? I can't see myself, so I don't know if you can see me. There I go. I think I'm on screen. Hi, everybody. I'm Matthew Paz. I'm the Planning and Freight Program Manager at Federal Highways in Washington. So every state has a division office in their state. And so I'm in the Washington State Division. And so part of my role is stewardship and oversight is a big part of it. And so I'm just kind of listening in, mostly listening in role here. I appreciate all the background and information on the planning process and the documents that you're working on. And I also really appreciate hearing the focus on agriculture and farming because I'm one generation away from the farm in the Midwest. So whenever I hear about this, it's always interesting to me. But as far as the stewardship and oversight, I think it sounds like things are going good there. This is just a little bit of a heads up that next month we're on the agenda for our review of BFCOG. So what we do is we're required once every 4 years to conduct a review of the planning process and documents of all of the largest MPOs in Washington State. And so BFCOG is in that process right now for getting reviewed, and we're almost done. We'll be done in a couple of weeks here. And so special thanks to Michelle, Aaron, and all the staff there for participating in the collection of the documents and meeting with us so we can better understand the documents and all that. So more details on that process will be provided. I think is the next meeting in July 11th, I think. Is that the date?
That's the third Friday in July, 19th.
19th. Okay, so on that date, we will provide more details on the process. Will be wrapped up then. So that's it. I meant to be here and listen only mode, but I guess I talked a little bit too much, but thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else online? That's it.
No, I think you got everybody.
Okay, Port Pasco is celebrating 85 years and we're planning a celebration for later this year. The commission took a tour of the new water treatment facility north of Pasco. And it's absolutely amazing, and it's taking into consideration some of the agricultural symbiosis treatment for water, specifically from Darigold. And they're going to be able to recycle and treat that water and take out the nitrogen and use the nitrogen in agriculture for farming and recycle the water. And it's huge. They're I think tripling the size of the treatment facility. So if you have a chance to tour that, I would highly recommend that. Where we have started our first phase of development out at the airport, we're back to over pre-COVID numbers out there, and we're putting in some new gates and some other things out there, new baggage treatment or baggage facilities that are inside that you don't ever see. But
And parking.
and parking, yeah, we had to expand the parking. And I guess that's really all I have to talk about today. Doing lots of wonderful things. Anybody else have anything to add? I get everybody? All right. Is there anything else to bring up today? If not, I will adjourn the meeting at 11:30.
Awesome. Good job.